Good morning, everybody, and this is the 4th week of online art class. So this week we're going to be doing a mobile, which is over here, inspired by the artist Charles Harper. He's not a very well-known artist, but he illustrated a lot of children's books, and I have an example of his work here. So we're going to do it based off of his birds, which are really fun to do. But if you want to do a different template, you can go ahead and draw it yourself. So today I have 2 different ways to do this project. There's an easy way and then a much harder way that'll take a little bit longer. So the easy way is to print out the coloring pages that I drew out that are attached to this lesson, and those are just like coloring pages you print out. It's best if you print them on cardstock so they're a little more solid. Or you can go the hard way and do the pieces, which is what I did here, and cut out each individual piece and glue them all together. So I'll be showing you both ways today and then try to balance the mobile. So first we're going to cut out the flamingo. Which I probably should have got the scissors for, because this is very tiny. So Charles Harper describes his style as minimal realism. So he tries to get the most realistic view of an animal with the least amount of fussing with lines and stuff. So it's very simplistic. It has a lot of basic cubism. So there's a lot of just shapes that make the animals, and depending on what kind of animal he's doing, it has very minimal color change. So the flamingos, for example, I got pretty much based off of this picture in the book that shows just pink flamingos, because that's the color they are. So the only downside to the coloring page ones is you're going to have to color them all in. And if you print them on a cardstock paper, you can do a solid color, but just remember when you color on top of certain colors, it will change the color you're working with. So if you color a blue on top of a yellow paper, you're going to end up with green, when maybe you didn't want any green. So just be aware of the color mixing. This is definitely the more simple method. This would be better for younger kids who are working on fine motor skills or just need something quick to do for a while. This is a good one, art class lesson-wise, because it is something that you can actually decorate with, as opposed to random art pieces. So this would be fun for a kid's bedroom. And mine, I use sticks from trees that we found outside the library. But you could also use wooden dowels or popsicle sticks if you're making it a little smaller. Just any kind of stick you have around. So it works anyway. Okay, so here's the flamingo. Try to get this piece up. This would also work better if you grabbed an X-Acto knife with you, which I totally forgot to grab this morning. Alright, so one flamingo done. Can you see if it's here? And then, so it's ready to hang. We're going to punch a hole, and I marked where the hole would be to balance it the best. You just punch out that back side, and you have a flamingo ready to go. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to do the harder one. I chose the goldfinch because I had gold paper, and it was just the easiest to work with. So I numbered all of the pieces that you're going to need, and you just assemble them in that order. They also have notes on how many of each piece you're going to need. So follow those instructions. I'm actually going to have to cut a copy more. I'm going to go to 1 page. Most pieces you're going to need 2. If you're doing both sides, you're going to want 2 of each so that it has a mirror image. But if you are only decorating one side, you only need 1 of each piece. So we're just going to cut out all of these. Try to stick as close to the lines as possible, but it doesn't have to be exact. It's not rocket science. So art, it has a little bit more leniency. And I also attached to each of the templates what the bird is supposed to look like when it's done, so that you have a little bit of a guide to go off of. Because a bunch of random pieces don't really make sense unless you have something to look off of. like you don't need. And on a lot of mine, I actually ended up not using the feet that I put on the template because I didn't like how they looked. So you can go ahead and cut the feet out if you want. Or if they're too tiny, they're a little bit hard to deal with. Your fingers get very sticky when you're gluing them. So we have all the main pieces here. I think we're going to do an overhead view now, right? This would probably be the best for overhead. Okay, so you're going to take the ones that say cut to, which is pretty much all the ones on the goldfinch, and you're going to trace them out so you get the exact same shape that you have. A couple of the birds are a lot harder. The hummingbird has a ton of pieces, so it's a little bit harder to deal with. But it's really pretty when it's done. Okay, so those are all the pieces that you need to up, and then you go ahead and go back and cut those all up. Charles Harper is one of my favorite artists because he has everything is just so simple, and it's kind of nice to not have to do all the shading and worry about brush strokes like you do in a lot of painting. So it's a good break, and it matches almost anything, so it works that way too. I'm going to do this one without feet, so I'm just calling these legs. So the way you're going to assemble it, you're going to get all your pieces ready and laid out and color in any of the ones that need black or whatever. The best way to do this would be to print it on white paper and then color them in, or cut them from exactly the color cardstock that you need, like I did with these ones. But you don't have to do that. You can make them any color you want. I went with the most realistic colors, just because that's how I tend to do things. So you can see all your head pieces put together. It's a little tricky figuring out the mirror image sometimes. There you go. That should be good. Okay, so the first piece that we have here labeled number 1 is actually the beak. So that's the first little piece you're going to be working with. That's so tiny. So that little one is number 1, and it should say that on the paper. Yeah, that one's number 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to take number 1 and the number 2 pieces, and you're just going to glue the beak into the 2 pieces of the head. So just put a little glue on the edge of the beak, slide it between the 2, and then smush it down. Okay, so that's number 1 and number 2. So now you're just going to go to number 3, which is the body pieces, and you're going to get both of those, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take the head, and you're going to glue it inside the body like you did with the beak. So just make sure you get enough glue on there. Put it there. And then put the other one on top. And that is number 2 and number 3 put together. And then number 4 is the easiest because it just goes on top. And those are your wings. The goldfinch is definitely the easiest one, so I suggest you do the goldfinch first just so you have a little bit of extra practice before you get to the hard ones. And then you just stick the wings on the back like that. And if you want to make these a little bigger, just take a screenshot of the image before you print it, and you can expand it on Publisher or Word. And you should be good. So there's the goldfinch. Now on mine, I added extra details. So you can go in and draw a little eye if you want. And then one of the things I like about the work of Charlie Harper is he adds the little details to make it look like they have wings and stuff, but in very geometric shapes. So I like to add some of those because it replicates the design of the originals better. So just add little details to indicate different parts of the bird. So these are all the little pin feathers on the front. And then you're good. So then it's a little harder to punch holes through all the cardstock, but you can still do it. It just takes a little bit extra strength. And then you have the wings ready, and you can start hanging them. So I have some embroidery thread, and we're just going to string it through the holes.
Susanna, do you need embroidery thread, or can you use like yarn or twine?
You can use any kind of string that you have on hand.
Even dental floss, maybe.
Yes. Even though we're allowed to go out, I suggest you use what you can at home or order online, just so we have less people going out and spreading germs right now. Because it's all, we want to stay safe and protect the people that have to go out. I forgot to give him an eye on this side. So if you can, use whatever you have at home or order some online. You can also make this out of cardboard. You just get the papers to trace and trace it down on cardboard, and you can do it that way also if you don't have heavy paper. Okay, now, tricky part to making a mobile is that they have to balance perfectly. And let me tell you, it's not easy to get that sometimes. This took me 4 hours to put together because I kept messing up. So I'm going to show you the basics of putting it together. So right here we have our stick, right? And if you hold it any place along the stick, it's probably going to fall right. But there's one point where it's going to balance perfectly, like right there. So you're going to find that one point, and you're going to have that. The easiest way I found is to have it on something like this, and you're going to balance it so that it stays more or less. It's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. So then you're going to take your heavier bird, which in this case is the flamingo, I think. Although, depending on how many pieces, your bird is going to weigh a little bit more or a little less, because especially with the cardstock, each little piece definitely adds some. So I think the best way to do this would be a little slip on, so that we can tighten it. Okay. Slide that one on. So you see how it's heavier on the side now? It's going to unbalance. So find a new balance point. And then you're going to grab your other one and balance it onto the other side. Now, normally you'd use a little bit smaller stick, but this is what we found when we were getting all separated. So actually, depending on where you put the bird on the stick, it's going to have more weight to one side or the other. So this is actually pretty well balanced. But if I put this one further towards the center, and it stayed on, it would actually change the balance of the whole thing. So it's all the way over here, it's going to go more that side now. So you slide it this way or this way to balance it out. You'll figure it out. So that's how you balance it, and then your finished product should look a lot like this. So when you start adding more of the branches, it's going to be a little trickier. I found that it's easier to work from the lowest point to the middle highest point, because then your weight is distributed the whole way along. So if you're going to do all the birds, I suggest starting at this one and working your way up. So that's what your art project is today. If you finish it, go ahead and send us a picture. We'd love to see your work. And if you have any questions, send us a video or a message on email or Facebook or whatever you're watching from. Have a great day.